The maitre d' sneered down at the reservation ledger like it was a holy book stained with sin. "Sir, we don't serve your kind here after hours." Jacob Hale's blood turned to ice in his veins, the words slicing deeper than any boardroom betrayal. Right there on the polished marble threshold of Le Chateau Etoile, New York City's crown jewel of Michelin-starred excess. In that frozen heartbeat, as the velvet rope swung shut like a guillotine, Jacob realized the fortune he'd built from nothing, Silicon Valley scraps to Wall Street gold, meant jack shit when your skin whispered other to these old money ghosts. Jacob stood there, the city's November chill seeping through his wool overcoat, but it was nothing compared to the frost blooming in his chest. He'd booked the private dining room months ago, a whim born of triumph. His latest acquisition, a green tech startup that had just minted him another billion, deserved celebration. Not just any spot, Le Chateau Etoile, where power brokers whispered deals over foie gras and presidents toasted victories with vintage Bordeaux. It was the kind of place that screamed arrival, the ultimate fuck you to the foster homes and corner store hustles of his Compton youth. And tonight, he was bringing Ethan, the one crack in his armored heart, to make it real. But the maitre d', a wiry Frenchman with a mustache like a villain from a 40s noir, had taken one look at Jacob's face, dark, chiseled, unapologetically black, and decided the rules bent for no one. "Policy," the man had hissed, eyes darting to the doorman's meaty fist on the knob. Jacob's laugh came out sharp, a bark that echoed off the limestone facade. "Policy? Boy, I've bought policies that own half this block." He pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over the speed dial for his lawyer. But something uglier stopped him. Not the rejection, hell, he'd eaten worse from venture capitalists who smiled while starving his dreams. No, it was the pitying glances from the couples gliding past in their cashmere and pearls, the way they averted eyes like he'd brought the hood with him. He turned on his heel, the Hudson River's black mirror mocking him from across the street, and stormed toward the town car idling curbside. His driver, Marcus, a grizzled vet from Jacob's early days flipping sneakers, didn't need words. The man's jaw set like concrete as he swung the door open. "Fuck him, boss. We hit that soul spot in Harlem. Collards and cornbread that'll make you forget their escargot asses." Jacob slid in, the leather creaking under him, and stared at the rain-slicked streets blurring by. "Not tonight, Marcus. Take me home." Home was a penthouse in Tribeca, all glass walls and skyline views that made Manhattan feel conquerable. But as the elevator hummed upward, Jacob's mind replayed the scene in toxic loops. "You're kind." As if he were a stray dog sniffing at the back door. He poured a tumbler of Macallan, neat, and paced the open-plan living room, the city lights fracturing like shattered promises. Ethan was late, again, texting apologies about a client dinner running long. Jacob had met him 6 months back at a gala for queer philanthropists. Ethan all golden boy charm in a slim-fit tux, his laugh cutting through the champagne fizz like sunlight on fog. White, Ivy League polish, the kind of easy privilege Jacob both craved and resented. But damn, those green eyes, that tentative hand on his arm during the slow dance. It had been the first time in years Jacob let himself believe in something softer than stock tickers. The door buzzed, and Ethan tumbled in, cheeks flushed from the wind, loosening his tie with that boyish grin. "Traffic was a nightmare, babe. You wouldn't believe." He froze, grin fading as he clocked Jacob's thundercloud face. "Whoa, what's wrong? You look like you just fired the entire board." Jacob set the glass down harder than intended, The clink echoing. Le Chateau. They turned me away. Said they don't serve my kind after hours. The words hung heavy, and he watched Ethan's face cycle through confusion to horror, those green eyes widening like saucers. What the fuck? That's illegal. We call the times, right? Sue their asses into oblivion. Ethan crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling Jacob into a hug that smelled of bergamot cologne and desperation. But Jacob stiffened, the warmth clashing with the chill inside him. It's not just the suit, Ethan. It's me. The black guy in the bespoke Tom Ford who still gets sized up like a threat. He pulled back, searching Ethan's face for the fire he'd fallen for. The kid who'd marched in last Pride with a sign reading ally? Not accomplice. But tonight, Ethan's mouth opened, closed, then spilled out the worst possible platitude. Maybe it's a mix-up? They probably just save it. Jacob's voice was gravel. He shrugged off the coat, tossing it over the Eames chair. I don't need your white knight routine. I need a shower and sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. Ethan lingered, hand half raised. But Jacob was already retreating to the bedroom, the door clicking shut like a verdict. Alone under the rainfall showerhead, steam clouding the glass, Jacob let the water scald his skin, washing away the night's grime but not the ache. Ethan meant well, God. He did, but good intentions were just band-aids on bullet wounds. Jacob had built his empire on spotting cracks in foundations. How had he missed the ones in this? Morning broke gray and unrelenting, the kind of New York November that pressed down like a thumb on your windpipe. Jacob woke to the smell of coffee and Ethan's tentative humming in the kitchen. He padded out in boxers and a tank, hair still tousled, and found Ethan at the island, scrolling his phone with a mug steaming beside him. Slept like shit, Ethan admitted, sliding a plate of scrambled eggs Jacob's way. Kept replaying it. That's not just rude, it's a hate crime. Jacob forked into the eggs, appetite absent. Last I checked, you weren't the one they eye-fucked at the door. Ethan winced, setting his phone down. Fair. But I'm in this with you. Remember that weekend in the Hamptons? When your ex tried to out you to the press. I stood by you then. Jacob paused, the memory a warm flicker amid the storm. That ex. Marcus, no. Not the driver. Another one. A slick tech bro who'd weaponized their breakup for clicks. Ethan had shown up uninvited, laptop in hand, burying the story under a counter-narrative of resilience that went viral. It was the first time Jacob had cried in front of anyone since his mom passed. Ethan's arms a safe harbor in the chaos. Yeah, Jacob murmured, reaching across to squeeze Ethan's hand. You did. The touch lingered, sparks jumping despite the tension. But as Ethan leaned in for a kiss, Jacob's phone buzzed, a text from his assistant, board meeting rescheduled. And heads up, Le Chateau's trending. Bad press? He opened Twitter X, whatever the hell it was now, and there it was, a blurry photo of him at the door, caption screaming billionaire Jacob Hale snubbed by racist elite, boycottal Chateau. Retweets in the thousands, influencers piling on. Jacob's jaw tightened. This wasn't victory, it was a circus. By noon, the restaurant's PR machine was in overdrive, issuing a mealy-mouthed apology about miscommunication and offering a complimentary dinner. Jacob laughed bitterly, showing Ethan the email. Complimentary. Like I'm some influencer chasing freebies. Ethan's eyes lit up, though. Use it. Go back. Not for their slop, for the statement. Take me. Make them squirm. Jacob considered it, the idea coiling like a dare. Revenge wasn't his style. Too messy for a man who'd learned to win quietly, but the wound was fresh, festering. And with Ethan there, green eyes fierce, felt less like poison, more like power. Fine, he said finally, pulling Ethan close. Their kiss started soft, apology and anchor, but deepened quick, hands roaming under shirts, breaths mingling hot and urgent. They tumbled to the rug, city forgotten, bodies a tangle of need and forgiveness. Afterward, slick and spent, Jacob traced the freckles on Ethan's shoulder. Your trouble, you know that. Ethan grinned, lazy and sated. The best kind. That night, they dressed like armor. Jacob in midnight velvet, Ethan in crisp linen that hugged his swimmer's build. Le Chateau loomed brighter under siege, paparazzi flashes popping like gunfire as the maitre d', same smug fucker, ushered them in with oily deference. The private room was a jewel box, crystal dangling from the ceiling, walls papered in gold damask, a table set for kings. But the air hummed with undercurrents, the staff's averted eyes, the sommelier's tremor pouring the 82 Lafite. They ate in charged silence at first, oysters popping salty on tongues, lamb so tender it melted. Ethan cracked jokes about the decor. It's like Versailles had a love child with a Bond villain, drawing Jacob's reluctant laugh. For a moment, it was perfect. Candlelight gilding Ethan's curls, their knees brushing under the tablecloth, the world outside a distant roar. Then the owner appeared, a silver-haired patrician named Henri Duval, all French accent and false bonhomie. Mr. Hail, an honor. Our deepest regrets for the unfortunate evening. He clasped Jacob's hand too long, eyes appraising the room like inventory. Jacob leaned back, swirling his wine. Regrets don't pay reparations, Henri. But I'll take your word and your wine list. The banter flowed, Ethan chiming in with charm offensive. But Jacob caught the flicker. Duval's gaze lingering on Ethan, appreciative, proprietary. Like Jacob was the plus one. As dessert arrived, some fruffy chocolate sphere that dissolved into sin, Duval dropped the bomb. You know, Ethan, your family's firm handled our expansion last year. Fine work. We should discuss future collaborations. He slid a card across, ignoring Jacob entirely. Ethan pocketed it with a polite nod, but Jacob's gut twisted. Collaborations. The word slithered, implying alliances that bypassed him. Dinner wrapped with handshakes and photos for the gram, but as they stepped into the night, flashes blinding, Jacob's high soured. What the hell was that? He muttered once inside the car. Ethan blinked. Innocent. Networking, babe. It's harmless. Harmless. Jacob's voice rose, the cabin closing in. I fucked you like I was the waiter. And you ate it up. That's paranoia talking. Duval's a creep to everyone. Everyone? Or just the black guy? Jacob's words lashed out, sharper than intended. Ethan recoiled, hurt flashing green. Silence stretched, thick as fog, until Ethan whispered, "You're pushing me away because it's easier than facing this shit." The car pulled up to the penthouse, but Jacob stayed put, staring at the dashboard glow. Maybe you're right. Or maybe I'm just tired of pretending this city's changed. Ethan exited without another word, door slamming like finality. Inside, alone again, Jacob poured another drink, the bottle's glug mocking him. Betrayal wasn't always a knife in the back. Sometimes it was a lover's blind spot, a chink in the dream. He scrolled the feeds. Justice for Jacob trending. Allies rallying, but victory tasted like ash. Ethan texted, "We need to talk." "For real?" Jacob typed back, "Tomorrow." Sleep on it. But sleep evaded. Ghosts of old wounds whispering. You're too much, too soon, too black for their world. Dawn crept in, gray as regret, and Jacob wondered if love could bridge chasms or just widen them. The boardroom at Hale Dynamics was a fortress of glass and steel, 30 floors above the financial district's frenzy, where deals were birthed in sweat and sealed in handshakes that moved mountains. Jacob arrived early, nursing black coffee in a mug that read Boss Mode, his armor back in place, charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, the kind of quiet power that made interns scurry. But beneath the table, his foot tapped a staccato rhythm, Ethan's text burning in his pocket like a live wire. The meeting kicked off with metrics, Q4 projections soaring, the green tech buyout a golden goose laying ESG eggs for investors. His CFO, a no-nonsense Latina named Sophia, beamed slides of exponential growth, but Jacob's mind wandered to last night's fracture. Ethan's face in the car, wounded and weary, echoed the foster kid in him who'd learned trust was a luxury good. "Jacob, your thoughts on the PR pivot?" Sophia's voice yanked him back. The team leaned in, expectant. He straightened, channeling the charisma that had charmed sharks into allies. "We lean in. Hard. Donate the Lou Chateau Comp dinner's value to the NAACP, make it public. Turn their fuckery into our fuel." Nods rippled, murmurs of approval. But as they wrapped, his phone vibrated. "Ethan. Coffee? Neutral ground. Please." They met at a corner spot in Soho. All exposed brick and overpriced lattes. The kind of place where artists nursed hangovers and influencers staged authenticity. Ethan was already there, nursing an Americano, looking like he'd aged a decade overnight. Stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes ringed in shadow. "You came," Ethan said, relief softening his voice as Jacob slid into the booth. "Couldn't not." Jacob ordered black, no sugar, mirroring his mood. Silence pooled, broken only by the hiss of the espresso machine. Finally, Ethan dove in. "Last night. I fucked up. I saw the hurt, but I minimized it. Like my white ass could ever get it." Jacob's chest loosened a fraction. "It's not about getting it. It's about standing in it with me. Duval didn't just snub me, he erased me for you. And you let him." Ethan nodded, slow, owning it. "I did. Old habits, networking's my default, even when it's toxic. But Jacob, you're not erased. Not to me." His hand crept across the table, tentative, and Jacob let it link, the warmth a lifeline. They talked for hours, raw and unfiltered. Ethan's upbringing in Connecticut privilege, summers at the vineyard where colorblind meant ignoring the help. Jacob's gauntlet from Compton courts to Stanford snubs, where ambition was coded as aggression. Laughter crept in, too, Ethan mimicking Duval's accent until Jacob snorted coffee. By the time they parted, foreheads pressed in the alley behind the cafe, felt mended, fragile but whole. "Date night tomorrow?" Ethan murmured against his lips. "No Michelin bullshit. Just us. Pizza in the park." Jacob grinned, the first real one in days. "Deal." Work swallowed the afternoon. Calls with Tokyo partners. Emails burying rivals in legalese. But buzz built online. Le Chateau's Yelp nuked with 1 stars. A viral thread from a queer activist ally calling out the racism as old money's last gasp. Jacob retweeted supportively, his handle at @JHailEmpire amassing followers like kindling. Power surged back. Electric. Evening brought Ethan to the penthouse. Arms laden with takeout from Lombardi's, the original coal oven pie, grease spotting the box. They spread a blanket on the terrace, skyline twinkling like conspirators, and devoured slices under the chill stars. Wine flowed, Merlot warming veins, and stories spilled. Ethan's secret theater kid phase, Jacob's underground rap battles in college. Hands wandered, playful at first, Ethan's fingers tracing Jacob's collarbone, then insistent, pulling shirts free in the heated dark. They made love on the lounge chair, slow and deliberate, bodies mapping familiar terrain with renewed hunger. Ethan's gasps against Jacob's neck, Jacob's nails digging crescents into pale hips. It was reclamation, fierce and tender. Afterward, tangled in a throw blanket, Ethan whispered, "I love you, you know." Not despite the whole damn package. Jacob's throat tightened, words he'd guarded like state secrets. "Love you too, Irish," Ethan's heritage joke, a shield against vulnerability. They dozed like that, city hum a lullaby, until a call shattered it. Sophia, voice tight. "Boss, you seeing this? Duval just lawyered up, slanders the angle. And there's a leak. About you and Ethan." Jacob bolted upright. Phone screen glaring. A tabloid splash. Billionaire's bedroom secrets. Hale's gay affair exposed? Blurry club photos. Whispers of power imbalance. His stomach plummeted. How bad? Bad enough to tank stock if it spins wrong. Ethan stirred, concern creasing his brow. "What's happening?" Jacob handed over the phone, rage coiling low. "Someone's playing dirty. And I think I know who." The next days blurred into war. PR firms spinning damage control. Lawyers drafting cease and desists. Jacob's team traced the leak to a junior associate at Ethan's firm, some ambitious prick sniffing for promotion. But whispers pointed higher. Duval's network. Tendrils in media and finance. Retaliating for the boycott. Ethan, caught in crossfire, faced office heat. Partners side-eyeing him. Clients pulling back. They fought side by side. Holed up in the penthouse. Ethan on calls to his boss. Jacob orchestrating counterstrikes. Nights were sanctuary, bodies pressed close. Reassurances murmured in the dark. But cracks spiderwebbed. Ethan's growing silences. The way he'd check his phone mid-conversation. Guilt etching lines around his mouth. One stormy Thursday. Fractured. Jacob came home to find Ethan pacing. Laptop open to an email chain. His firm's brass pressuring him to distance from the scandal. "They think it'll blow over if I lay low." "Like you're a phase." Jacob's blood roared. "A phase? After everything." He slammed the fridge door. Beer foaming over. "Or is it the gay part? The black part? Pick your poison." Ethan's face crumpled. "It's the optics, Jacob. Not me. Never me." But doubt seeded, thorny and insistent. That night, sleep eluded. Jacob lay awake. Ethan's snores a foreign rhythm. By dawn, resolve hardened. Time to end this, on his terms. He called a press conference. Unscripted, raw at a community center in Harlem. ground zero for his roots. Cameras swarmed, reporters hungry, as Jacob took the podium, Ethan at his flank, hand hidden but clasped. "I'm not here to sue or simper," Jacob thundered, voice carrying like gospel. "I'm here to say, racism isn't a relic, it's rent, due every damn day. Le Chateau tried to collect, but we're evicting that shit." Cheers erupted, fists pumping. He pulled Ethan forward then, arm around his waist. "And this is love. Black, queer, unbreakable. Try us." The room exploded. Applause, flashes, viral immortality. Ethan beamed, tears unshed, and in that blaze, Jacob felt invincible. But backstage, as hugs and backslaps flowed, Ethan's phone buzzed again, resigned. Effective immediately. For us, Jacob's triumph hollowed. "You quit? For what, my ego?" Ethan cupped his face. Fierce. "For us. The real us, not their game." Gratitude warred with grief. Ethan's career, collateral in Jacob's crusade. They kissed amid the chaos, salt and fire, but Jacob tasted the cost. Love's ledger always balanced in red. Weeks blurred. The boycott crippled Le Chateau. Michelin stripping stars like badges of shame. Duval slunk to Paris. Empire in tatters. Jacob's stock soared. Allies multiplying. But home turned haunted. Ethan job hunting in shadows. Resentment simmering unspoken. Late nights. Jacob worked till dawn. Ethan scrolling listings alone. One evening, over reheated Thai, it boiled over. "You think I regret it?" Ethan snapped, chopsticks clattering. "Every interview ghosting me because of your spotlight?" "My spotlight," Jacob shot back, heat rising. "This is our fight." "Our? Try yours." "I'm the white boy collateral. Remember." Ethan's voice cracked, vulnerability raw. "I love you, but I'm drowning, Jacob. And you're too busy king-making to notice." The words landed like shrapnel. Jacob reached out, but Ethan recoiled, grabbing his coat. "Space. I need space." Door slammed, echo eternal. Alone, Jacob sank to the floor, penthouse vast and empty. Tears came, hot and unbidden, the kind that wrenched sobs from a chest armored too long. He'd won the war, but lost the man. Or had he? New York winters bit harder than betrayal, wind howling off the East River like a jilted lover's curse. Jacob threw himself into the grind. Dawn runs along the Battery. Boardrooms conquered by noon. Evenings lost to donor galas where champagne masked the void. Ethan had vanished into a sublet in Brooklyn. Texts polite but sparse. A thinking of you here. A thumbs up emoji there. Jacob stalked his socials in weak moments. Ethan's posts all neutral landscapes and coffee art. No trace of the fire that once lit them both. Sophia noticed first, cornering him in the executive washroom. "You're a ghost, Jeef. That man lit you up. Don't let pride dim it." She was right. Mirrors showed hollow cheeks. I shadowed like a fugitive. But pride wasn't the chain, it was fear, bone deep, of loving loud in a world that muted you. The invite arrived mid-December. A queer arts fundraiser at the Whitney. Black tie optional but egos mandatory. Jacob's foundation was platinum sponsor. His name etched in the program. He RSVP'd solo, stealing for the schmooze. But as he navigated the galleries, Warhol's dripping irony, Basquiat's screaming soul, his skin prickled. There, by the Basquiat, stood Ethan, devastating in a navy suit that hugged his frame, laughing with a cluster of curators, green eyes catching light like sea glass. Their gazes locked across the room, time fracturing. Jacob's heart hammered, a traitor's beat. Ethan excused himself, weaving through the crowd with that loose-limbed grace, stopping a breath away. "You look incredible," Ethan said, voice low, laced with ache. "You too," Jacob swallowed, words desert dry. "Brooklyn treating you like a bad rebound. Miss the skyline, a beat, heavy. Miss you," the admission hung, electric. Around them, chatter buzzed oblivious, but Jacob felt exposed. "Walk with me," he nodded to the terrace, city sprawl glittering below like a dare. Outside, flurries danced in the sodium glow, coats unnecessary in the heat of proximity. They leaned on the railing, shoulders brushing, silence a bridge or a brink. Ethan broke it. "I was wrong to bolt." Space. "Bullshit. I was scared of losing me in us." Jacob turned, searching that face he'd mapped in moonlight. "And I bulldozed. Made it my war, not ours." Wind tugged at his collar, mirroring the pull inside. "Truth? I built walls higher after Le Chateau. Thought if I armored up, nothing could touch me. Forgot love sneaks through the cracks." Ethan's laugh was soft, bittersweet. "Poet now? Next you'll quote Baldwin." But his hand found Jacob's, gloved fingers lacing. "I read your piece in The Atlantic. The one on queer black excellence. Hit like a freight train. Made me see I wasn't accomplices. I was coasting." Jacob's op-ed, penned in whiskey-fueled fury, had gone viral, dissecting racism's romance with capital, queerness as rebellion. "Wrote it for me, mostly. But yeah. You read it, all of it. Twice." Ethan's thumb stroked his knuckles, spark to tinder. "Come back? Or I could come home." The question trembled, fragile as snow. Jacob pulled him close, foreheads touching, breaths mingling white. "Home's wherever you are. Irish." The kiss ignited slow, tentative, lips brushing, testing, then fierce, hands fisting lapels, world narrowing to taste and touch. Flurries melted on heated skin, and for the first time in weeks, Jacob breathed free. They tumbled back to Tribeca that night, Marcus grinning slyly in the rearview. Penthouse lights welcomed like old friends, coats shed in a trail to the bedroom. Undressed by lamplight, they explored with reverence. Ethan's mouth tracing scars Jacob hid, faded knife fight from teen streets, appendix burst in a broke college semester. Jacob worshipped freckles like constellations, eliciting moans that echoed forgiveness. Dawn found them entwined, sheets a tangle, coffee brewing lazy. "What's next?" Jacob murmured into Ethan's neck. "Us." Unscripted. Ethan propped on elbow, grin sly. "And maybe a job that doesn't suck my soul." Laughter bubbled, light as forgotten. But reality intruded. Ethan's inbox overflowed with offers. Nonprofits hungry for his polish, queer startups eyeing his Rolodex. Jacob's empire hummed, but he carved space. Weekly no-work nights, therapy sessions tag-teamed with a couples counselor who didn't flinch at their mess. Christmas loomed, city's frenzy a manic pixie. They escaped to Jacob's cabin in the Adirondacks' log walls, stone hearth, snow blanketing pines like hush money. No staff. Just them. Chopping wood till arms ached. Sledding slopes like kids. Evenings lost to mulled wine and Miles Davis vinyls. One night, fire crackling, Ethan knelt by the rug. Box in hand, a simple band, tungsten etched with coordinates of their first kiss. Marry me, Ethan's voice cracked. Green eyes vulnerable oceans. Not for show. For the quiet. The us that no one's watching. Jacob's yes choked out. Tears blurring the ring's gleam. They made love by firelight. Urgent and eternal. Bodies pledging what words couldn't. Vows whispered against skin. Through scandals and slights. Empires risen or raised. They'd stand unbroken. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions scrawled on napkins. Ethan's new gig at a queer media org. Jacob mentoring at-risk youth. Back in the city, they hosted a low-key bash. Friends from all corners. Sophia toasting with tequila shots. Marcus grilling ribs on the terrace. Laughter drowned old ghosts. But as midnight struck, confetti raining, Jacob pulled Ethan to the glass wall. City fireworks blooming. To shocks that heal, Jacob toasted, glasses clinking. Ethan smirked. And returns that stick, but fate, that cruel curator, had one more twist cued. Mid-January, an envelope arrived. Manila, unmarked, slipped under the door. Jacob tore it open. Photos, grainy but damning. Him and Ethan, intimate moments stolen, terrace trysts, cabin glimpses. A note, typed sterile, smile for the lens. Or Le Chateau rises from ashes. Your move, Mr. Hale. Rage iced his veins. Blackmail, from Duval's ghost? Or closer, a serpent in their garden? Ethan, reading over shoulder, paled. This is insane. We change locks. Go public. No. Jacob's voice was steel. We hunt. Paranoia crept. Shadows lengthening. Staff vetted. Phones scrubbed. But trust frayed. Ethan's late nights at the new job. Jacob's travel spikes. Whispers at parties. Heard Hale's got skeletons. The ring felt heavier. Promise tainted. Climax brewed at a gala. Glad's big bash. Chandeliers dripping glamour. Jacob, in emerald velvet nodding to Ethan's eyes, worked the room like a prizefighter. Ethan mingled, charm dialed high, but Jacob caught it. A lingering glance with a donor. Too warm, too familiar. Later, by the bar, he cornered. Who's the suit? The one I fucking you. Ethan sighed, exasperated. Client. Nothing. Nothing? Like Duval. Venom slipped. Unbidden. Ethan's face hardened. Not this again. I'm not your property. Jacob. The fight spilled private. Coat check alcove a confessional. I'm protecting us, Jacob hissed. From what, your own head? Ethan fired back. This ring? It's a noose if you keep choking. Words escalated. Barbs flying. Jacob's control freak empire. Ethan's white fragility dodge. A shove. Jacob's hand on Ethan's chest. Not hard but enough. Ethan recoiled. Eyes wide with something new. Fear. I can't, Ethan whispered, backing away. Not like this. He fled into the night. Gala glamour mocking Jacob's isolation. Hours later, alone in the penthouse, Jacob shattered. A vase hurled. Shards like his heart. Dialing Ethan went to voicemail. Plea raw. Come back. Please. I'm the scared one here. But dawn brought no reply, only the envelope's shadow lengthening. Jacob stared at the ring, solitary on his finger, and wondered if love was the ultimate rejection. February's thaw mocked the freeze in Jacob's bones, slush puddling sidewalks like spilled regrets. Ethan had gone dark, radio silence after the gala, sublet address a fortress. Jacob's calls echoed void, texts blue-ticked unread. Work became exile. Mergers devoured, speeches thundered, but each triumph rang hollow, applause a dirge. Sophia staged interventions. Get out of your head, Poppy. But Jacob waved her off, drowning in 12-year scotch and what-ifs. The blackmailer escalated. Another package, this time a USB drive. Videos, edited vicious, intimate clips twisted to imply coercion. Jacob's frame looming predatory. Accompanying note, pay up, or your fairy tale ends in scandal. $5 million. Wired by Valentine's. Jacob's laugh was feral, alone in his office as rain lashed windows. 5 mil, pocket change. But the violation burned, love commodified, weaponized. He hired PIs, ghosts from his hustler days, tailing Duval's remnants, hacking fringes. Leads pointed inward, sickening a Hale intern, bitter over a past promotion, feeding to tabloids for chum. But the mastermind? Eluded, a specter. Paranoia peaked. Mirrors scrutinized for tells, allies eyed as foes. One night, fevered, Jacob dreamed of Ethan, green eyes accusing, body receding into fog. Woke gasping, sheets sodden. Valentine's dawned blood red, irony cruel. Jacob wired the cash anonymously, a stall tactic, then drove to Brooklyn unannounced. Sublet buzzer mocked with silence. A neighbor, pitying, confirmed, he moved last week. Canada, maybe, heart plummeting. Jacob slumped against brick. City indifferent. Flight to Toronto was impulse. Passport in hand. Desperation pilot. Ethan had family there, cousins in the art scene. A safe harbor. Jacob landed in lake effect chill, pounding pavement from galleries to cafes, face half hidden in scarf. Days blurred. French bistros where laughter stabbed, bookstores stacked with Baldwin dog-eared. On the 4th, miracle, Ethan, bundled on a TTC streetcar, nose in a script. Jacob tailed, pulse thundering, until a quiet park, snow-dusted benches, ravens cawing judgment. Ethan, voice cracked, plea. Ethan startled, script tumbling. Green eyes flashed shock, then steel. What the hell? Jacob, stalking now, needed to see you. To fix. Words jammed. Raw. Fix. Ethan laughed. Bitter snowflake. You broke us. That shove? Felt like every bully I dodged growing up, the ones who clocked me as soft for liking boys. Jacob recoiled. Gutted. God. No. It was anger. Not. He sank to the bench, head in hands. Blackmail. Videos. They're coming for us, twisting everything. I thought. Protection. Ethan sat distant, breath clouds mingling. And you didn't trust me enough to say? Went lone wolf, hurt layered thick. I left because I loved you too much to become small. But you made me feel like the help again. Silence stretched. Arctic. Jacob spilled then, the packages, the PI trails, the intern's betrayal. Ethan's face cycled horror to fury. We face this together. Or not at all. Fight with me. Jacob extended hand. Trembling. Ethan clasped it. Grip vice. Always. But no more kings. Partners. They flew back conjoined. Hands linked through turbulence. Penthouse reborn. Locks changed. Security amped. But heart's priority. Therapy doubled down, sessions dissecting triggers. Rebuilding on bedrock. Ethan's new role bloomed. Podcasting queer stories that amplified voices like Jacob's youth. Nights healed slow. Tentative touches blooming bold. Bodies rediscovering trust. But the ghost struck Valentine's encore. Leak hit, videos doctored. Splashed across Breitbart clones. Headlines screamed Billionaire's dark desires. Coercion claims? Stock dipped. Sponsors flinched. Protesters picketed Hail HQ with signs twisting love to vice. Jacob's phone exploded. Board panic. Media hounds. Presser called emergency. Jacob at podium. Ethan beside. Hands visible. United. This isn't scandal. It's sabotage. Love like ours? It's the threat. He played the raw footage. Unedited. Tenderness undeniable. See for yourselves. We're suing. Not simpering. Backlash flipped. Allies mobilized. Love unleashed trending. Queer icons amplifying. The intern confessed under pressure. Duped by a Duval proxy. Payoff promised. Feds looped in. Rico whispers. Victory edged near. But cost tallied. Ethan's podcast deals iced. Jacob's donor pool wary. In the eye, they fortified. Cabin weekends. No tech. Just hikes and hearthside truths. One dusk. Trail weary. Ethan halted. Remember our first fight? Over nothing. A tie color. Jacob chuckled. Arm around waist. Led to make-up sex that broke the headboard. Ethan's eyes softened. We're stronger now. Fractured. But fused. Kiss under canopy. Snow sifting like blessings. Spring teased buds as case crested. Duval extradited. Empire seized. Courtroom climax, Jacob testifying. Voice steady. Ethan's hand under table anchor. Verdict. Guilty. Restitution rivers. Cheers erupted. But Jacob's win felt Pyrrhic scars etched permanent. After party at a rooftop lounge. City blooming below. Toasts flowed. But Ethan pulled Jacob aside. Terrace shadowed. Proud of you. Of us. Jacob nuzzled neck. Cologne grounding. Couldn't without you. But as laughter swelled inside. A shadow crossed Ethan's face. Subtle. But Jacob caught. A pill bottle in pocket. Glimpsed earlier. What's that? Ethan hesitated. Anxiety meds. Flare up from the stress. Doc's orders. Jacob's chest constricted. Ethan's history. Panic attacks buried under charm. Why didn't want to burden. Ethan's smile wobbled. But we're partners. Right? Full disclosure. Jacob hugged fierce. Always. But seed of worry sprouted. Was victory's weight too heavy? Summer sweltered. Empire stabilizing. They planned weddings small. Hudson Valley. Queer choir belting vows. Invites queer-coded. Rainbows etched in wax. But August brought storm. Ethan's checkup. Routine turned ominous. Benign cyst, Doc said. But shadows in scans whispered more. Jacob held vigil in sterile halls. Ethan's hand cool in his. If it's nothing, we laugh. If not, we fight. Ethan squeezed. Brave. Together. Biopsy confirmed. Early lymphoma. Treatable. World tilted. But they charged, chemo scheduled. Wigs shopped with Sophia's flair. Jacob shaved solidarity bald. Grinning mirror selfies. Sexy as sin. Ethan laughed. Weak but real. My chrome-domed king. Treatments blurred. Infusions dripping slow. Jacob reading aloud Baldwin essays. Campy sci-fi. Nights. Bodies spoon gentle. Kisses chaste but profound. Community rallied. Fundraisers masked as parties. Donors doubling down. Fall foliage flamed as remission loomed. One harvest eve. Orchard picnic. Apples crisp. Cider spiked. Ethan. Hair stubble soft. Raised glass. To shocks. The ones that scar and the ones that save. Jacob clinked. Throat full. To returns. Unexpected. But ours. But as leaves swirled. A call pierced. Old rival. Sniffing weakness. Hail down? Time to pounce. Jacob hung up. Steel returning. Battles lingered. But now, with Ethan scarred, survivor they were legion. Yet in quiet, Jacob traced Ethan's ribs, thinner now, and vowed silent, whatever came, he'd shield this love, fierce as first breath. October's gold waned to November's brass, anniversary of the snub circling like a vulture. Jacob marked it deliberate. Reservation at Le Chateau's husk. Rebranded Lumiere Collective. Black-owned. Queer-helmed. A phoenix from Duval's pyre. The space transformed. Murals by Harlem artists pulsing rhythm. Menu fusing soul and stars. Chefs. Once complicit. Now owners. Greeting Jacob with hugs. Not deference. Ethan. Remission fresh. Glowed in amber light. Hair curling boyish. Suit tailored post-recovery. They dined in the old private room. Now communal. Tables pushed for poetry slams. Oysters gave way to gumbo reinvented. Wine a bold Zinfandel from Napa's rising black vintners. Conversation flowed easy. Ethan's podcast hitting millions. Episodes on love's labor. Queer resilience raw. Toasts? The server prompted. A non-binary poet with sleeve tattoos. Jacob raised glass. Eyes on Ethan. To the door that slammed, and the one it opened. Clinks rippled. Strangers nodding knowing. Ethan's foot nudged his under table. Spark familiar. And to the man who kicked it down. Post-dinner. They wandered East Village. Chill nipping heels. A street fiddler played. What a wonderful world. Ironic and apt. Jacob pulled Ethan into alley dance. Clumsy steps laughing away years. Marry me proper? Tomorrow courthouse. Then dive bar. Ethan's yes was whoop. Spin lifting him off feet. Wedding dawned crisp. Vows in oak-paneled hall. Rings exchanged with Sophia officiating. Tear-streaked. By the power vested, fuck yeah. Husbands. Bar crawl followed. Shots with Marcus. Toasts from crew. Night peaked rooftop. City there's fireworks for no reason but joy. Bodies pressed. Slow grind to bass throb. Rings clinking promise. But dawn brought shadow. News alert. Rivals coup. Hailstock tanking on fabricated leaks. Jacob's phone buzzed apocalypse. Board fracturing. Whispers of ouster. Ethan stirred. Concern etching brow. We got this. Boardroom siege. Suits circling. Sophia loyal flank. Jacob entered lion-hearted. Presentation locked. counter-strategy exposing the rival's fraud. Votes teetered, tension wire-taut. Ethan's text mid-battle, believing in you. Always. Anchor. Gavel fell. Hale retained. Rival routed. Empire held. But Jacob emerged changed, less conqueror, more steward. He restructured. Shares to employee trusts. Mentorships mandatory. Power redistributed, not hoarded. Winter solstice. They retreated cabin ward. Snow eternal. Hearth blazed. Tree trimmed queer. Ornaments rainbow. Heirlooms from Ethan's gran. Gifts unwrapped slow. Jacob's leather journal for Ethan's scripts. Ethan's coordinates locket for Jacob's chain. You'll log crackled as confession spilled. Feared losing you to this, Jacob admitted, gesturing vague empire. Billionaire curse. Everything touched turns to gold. But love slips. Ethan nestled closer. Slipped? Nah. We gripped. Kiss deepened. Hands wandering wool. Rediscovering curves softened by peace. Love-making hearthwarm. Unhurried. Exploratory. Moans mingling with wind howl. Climax crested shared. Breaths synced. Bodies vow incarnate. Spring bloomed renewal. Garden planted rooftop. Tomatoes and basil for lazy bruschettas. Ethan's health check pristine, scans clear. Joy unchecked. They traveled light. Road trip southwest. Diners and deserts. Route 66 echoes of freedom quests. One dusk. Grand Canyon rim. Ethan traced Jacob's palm. Remember the hook? That door. Jacob chuckled. Snub that started it all. Shocked him. Didn't we? Ethan's grin sly. Returned unbreakable. Jacob pulled him flush. Sunset gilding them bronze. And still shocking. Years folded. Empire evolved. Hale Dynamics Green Vanguard. Queer board majority. Ethan's media empire. Podcasts to docs. Amplified margins. Stories sung global. Weddings wove tighter. Anniversaries orchard danced. Holidays crew expanded. But humanism's thread, not flawless. Fights flared. Jacob's workaholic relapses. Ethan's envy flares at spotlight steals. Therapy tuned. Apologies artful. One blizzard eve. Power out. Candles guttering. Ethan confessed. Sometimes missed the chaos. Made us fierce. Jacob lit match. Eyes warm. Fierce stays. Chaos? Optional. Elder autumns crept. Gray's salting temples. Lines laughter etched. Grandkids. Adopted. Rainbow brood. Toddled penthouse. Ethan's story weaving. Jacob fort building. Legacies layered. Foundations funded. Memoirs penned tandem. Final November. Le Chateau revisited. Lumiere thriving. Owners toasting elders. Frail hands clasped. Jacob's voice gravel soft. From rejection to roots. Ethan. Beside. Squeezed. Shocked them all. Night fell gentle. City eternal witness. In bed. Breaths synced fading. Jacob whispered last. Love you. Irish. Always returning. Ethan's smile. Faint. To the shocks that saved us. Fade to skyline hush. Love's echo undimmed, human. Flawed. Triumphant. In America's mosaic. Two threads wove indelible. Black billionaire. White dreamer. Gay husbands unbound. Rejections sting birthed romances roar. Betrayal's blade forged deeper bond. Humanistic close. Not perfection, but persistence, love as rebellion. Return as grace.